Broadcasting live from the command center located in Jacksonville, Florida, this is Military Witnesses to UAP. I am your host, Shannon Scott. And backed by popular demand, located deep in the Missouri woods, my right-hand man, Rob Heatherly. We both have assumed the duties and responsibilities of continuing the conversation. So, buckle up, hold my beer, hang on, and let's get started with today's briefings. Hey, Rob, how you doing, dude?
Doing wonderful. Let me see if I can.
Great. And by the way, Shane's coming, and that will be...
So together we're the Three Amigos!
That's right. Today's been quite a day here in Jacksonville, Florida. It was around 84 degrees. It was beautiful. The sun was shining. I took my wife out to lunch. Today's her birthday, so happy birthday, darling. And after we had lunch, came home. Here I am, and it's been a great day, except for the little drama thing that we will be going over. How is your day, Robbie?
Wonderful. It's been a cycle, trying to get things normalized here again. It's been a bumpy ride last week or so. I'm getting there.
I always tell people that I believe that you're one of the best researchers in this field. And I would have to ask you, have you been doing much research today, Rob?
Yeah, I've been doing a lot of research. And I'm also good at reading comprehension and remembering facts and consistency. So when somebody has a habit of writing a lot of articles, I can tell when they have a break from their common narratives and where they have common word choices and inflections of where they take a position of one side and then they flip-flop to the other side when it suits their narrative, and they show respect to one party and neutrality, but they have a bias toward others. That's not impartial. That's not journalism. That's being an op-ed, and he's pandering for money because that's what he does for a living. He's selling disclosure, and if you pay to get on his Patreon, you can get additional information, which should be free because he's getting free information from the government that should be free access, and he's charging behind a paywall. And is he
Rob, first of all, for our new listeners, who are we even talking about?
John Greenwald.
Maybe we need to talk about what's going on before we go into that. So we're talking about John Greenwald Jr. from the Greenwald. Now, exactly what article came out today? Can you synopsis of it or something?
Yeah, well, and he came out with an article where there was an intelligence officer that was interviewing for a potential job with ATIP that and it was secretly recorded by the film crew with and identified, which Lue Elizondo isn't responsible for the production and all those aspects. He was a paid participant. He wasn't in an advisory role. He didn't control the monies, none of that. So it wasn't his responsibility or his knowledge that they were filming the interview between him and that prospective intelligence officer that wanted to join ATIP because he had been told by a fellow coworker in the Pentagon that it was still a viable program. And then Greenwald writes this article up to try and make a smear campaign against Lue to try and paint a narrative that Lue lied and was being disingenuous, misled the guy, and that the guy, because he heard that there may have been top secret information shared with a civilian, Tom DeLong, then he filed a complaint. A official investigation by the Army was conducted, not a full, I don't know what a full Army investigation was, kind of like, D-Day invasion, I guess. But anyway, they found there was no merit to it. And the intelligence agent claims that, well, they presented it in a skiff as being top secret information. So he was under obligation to report it, which I can respect that. but then he has a counterclaim against him, a counter investigation, which I'm still reading through the document downloads to see how that came out. But evidently, neither party were charged with anything. I think they both were counseled on certain policies and such. But this is much ado about nothing, except for one thing, that John Greenwald, as long as Lue was being on his podcast and making money for him, which Lue didn't get paid anything for that, he was pro Lue. When Lue said he's exiting social media, then he turned heel and went anti-Lue and was trying to solicit the last interview with Lue on social media, claiming that he was the best interviewer of all podcasters out there, and no one could interview him like Greenwald. So he should be his last interview, not anyone else. So if you didn't hear that correctly out there in the community, John Greenwald thinks that he's the best interviewer of all you podcasters in existence, period. Hands down, he should have got the last interview. So take it up with him, because he thinks that you all are idiots. And he didn't tell Lue, when he was asking for that last interview, that he was already working on the first episode of the Basement Office with Greenstreet to do an assassination piece towards Lue. So who's the one being disingenuous here and not telling the truth? And if Lue had lied, he wouldn't still have a security clearance. Susan Go has been on the record twice now and had to revise her statements, because the official Pentagon narratives, which John Greenwald thinks FOIA is the gospel, and anything she puts out, she's lied twice now, or misrepresented, I might say, to put it gently. Lue's never been on the record lying. If he had, he wouldn't have his clearance. So he's claiming that Lue's claims of being ATIP director up till 2017 is just his opinion, because there's no evidence of it. But yet he's taking this intelligence officer's sworn oath, and his testimony, his word is the gospel. And so he, in the article, he's claiming that everything this guy asserts is true to his knowledge, and he swears by his testicle to that, which is what testimony means. So he'll take his word for it, but he's biased in not taking Lue's word for it. But Lue is backed up by legions of other intelligence officers and assets, and even senators that went on the record to attest that, yes, he was the director of ATIP and served in that capacity. And the ATIP did run through 2017. It went from a DOD to a CIA, or vice versa, in 2012 when the funding switched out. So I can't remember exactly how that worked, but him trying to claim that there was no money for the project, that's true, because when it first was funded, it was a different type of program that needed its own earmark money, and then it transitioned into just part of the military. You don't have to request specific funds for every project you do, like dragging the trash out to the latrine. You don't put in a budget for that. It's there when you need it. You draw from it. So it was running on a skeleton budget, but it still existed. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
Right. Unlike Twitter Spaces, Rob, here you could just keep on talking, dude. But I'll break in and give you a break once in a while. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, let me go through my screenshots, because I've got several.
Take a break. Hold on 1 second. Rob, get your thoughts together real quick. I'm going to show everybody something.
Okay.
Give me one moment.
Oh, come on!
No. Okay, I have it right here. Here it is. Bam. That's right. That's our baby girl, Leia. And what's so amazing about her, let me get this screen thing out of the way here. Boom. Okay, now y'all can see her better. Today, her ears popped up. I want to show you another picture. This is her 2 days ago, folks. Look at her ears. And then yesterday, her ears were kind of going in that right direction. But today, this is not photoshopped, okay? This looks photoshopped. I commented to Shelly, honey, this looks so crazy looking. It looks photoshopped. It's not. This is actually her ears. Bam! Check that out. It looks like someone's actually holding up her ears, straight up. No, that's her ears. She runs around with ears like that. And her brother, as you can see in that right there, his ears are up too. So she's awesome. All right. So we're talking about this guy right here, Rob. Bam.
Yeah.
I like that.
And for anybody that doesn't remember this, there's some history between Greenstreet and Susan Go's endeavors at the Pentagon too, because in 2009 and 2010, he was the lead filmographer for America.gov, which was making propaganda films to send overseas to let the rest of the world to portray a narrative of the United States how we wanted them to view it, whether it was factual or not. And Susan Go was in charge of that program at the Pentagon at the time, and they shut it down because they didn't want the people complained, and they were afraid that the propaganda films overseas would come back to the United States, to U.S. citizens, and it's against the law to run propaganda and psyops on the American people, which she didn't shut it down. She initiated it. He was the lead filmographer for it, and then it was shut down. So whether they had direct contact, I don't know. But he worked for the program that she was director of and brainchild, and it included him going out, putting these films on and making accounts and putting them out on Facebook and other social media platforms. If that doesn't sound familiar, he's still doing these things. Maybe they're on his own dime in his own time now, but that's where he got his start. So, the fact that he's going so hard against Lue and now Greenwald, and they're both on her short mailing list, I just find it awful convenient. And then the fact that she wrote that paper in 2003 saying that you cannot separate the duties of a psyops and public affairs officer, that's illegal, folks. I dare say, that's, to me, call me crazy, but isn't that a little bit of an admission that you need to recuse yourself from that position? That paper's out there. Just search for 2003 Susan Go. It was a Pentagon paper. I can find it real quick if somebody wants me to. But I'm not claiming she's breaking any laws. I'm just saying that when you've done that for 20 years as a colonel in the military, you go with what you know. It's your instinct. You spent thousands of hours honing your skills, which I admire that she served her country, and I thank her for that. But you can't separate, like she wrote, the two. They're intertwined. When you have that much experience, you have the lines blurred. And I dare say that Greenwald, he's not in this as a team player, and neither is Greenstreet at this point. They're in this with their own agendas, like Mick West, that refuses to budge on any point of fact at all. None. Isn't that a little odd that they're that rigid and dogmatic on these topics?
Yep.
Then it goes on in Greenwald's article where he states that ATIP wasn't about UFOs at all. It was about overseas weapon systems, or adversarial, and that they had featured technology projections over the next 40 years. He's referring to the DIRDs that Hal put out, which Hal himself, when he wrote about the DIRDs, Greenwald forgot to include this in the mention of those 40-year forecasts. Mm-hmm. He didn't name his source for that information. It was Hal Puthoff that was saying that in context, that these vendors that wrote these papers didn't know that they're writing about UFO technologies and prospects. They thought it was advanced forecasts of what could evolve in the next 50 years. So he didn't quote the entire source in context, because Hal was talking about UFOs, and that was exactly what those 4-year forecasts are for. So he's being completely disingenuous and repainting the narrative into his position. And like he put on his Twitter today, that he's soliciting additional monies because it's such a burden. He had to bring another server online to handle all this traffic that he's taken in today. I mean, oh my gosh, the drama that this has generated in the traffic.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
we need to do a GoFundMe and a fundraiser for Greenwald to pay for that next computer that he's got sitting under his closet. Oh, I'm sorry, black vault, grinding away underneath.
Do you know who I am?
You know, it's that in itself is a little creepy when you start referring to yourself as a spare bedroom. A little weird, but
Do you know who I am? I don't know how to put this.
Right.
So he even writes that it's not officially verifiable that they're involved in the Pentagon program of ATIP. I mean, it's all over the place. Greenwald himself has documented this before numerous times when he was pro-Lue before he turned anti-Lue. But, you know, he's still got those episodes up from before. Some of us do remember the context of those. And he has completely changed his whole narrative with this. And it's not just because he's thinking that additional information has come to light. He's using the same information but giving a different perspective on it now because it has a different agenda for him. And that's not journalism. That's op-ed. That's, you know, that's what do you call that? Historical fiction is when you take bits of history and you make up a narrative about it and publish it as a story. That's what he's doing, is historical fiction. He's not reporting. So, yeah, it's just, and, you know, all the hype that he put out there and all the money he's begging for his next server and stuff, which maybe it's the traffic on his eBay sales, I don't know, that are tilting his internet traffic. I don't know. Maybe business is good. You know, winter, it's the dead of winter. People need entertained. You know, you get crap like this. I mean, what's this about? You know, trying to put in the middle of his article that they discuss top secret. That's, to me, sensationalizing what's not sensational. I mean, you know, this is childish. You know, I've had master's courses in literature and writing, and a lot of experience in writing technical papers and articles. This is freshman fallacy of somebody that could never get a job writing in any kind of news organization whatsoever. So they have to self-publish, and that's all he's doing. And then yeah, I do. Like I said, I give him props for doing a public service of fishing out all these FOIAs. But, you know, I call him a glorified librarian, digital librarian, for a reason. He thinks because he can harvest all these documents that he's rescuing classified information one at a time. If you fill out the same form for 25 years, you better be damn good at it. You know, that's all he's done, aside from selling on eBay. But I digress. Yeah, he's good at that. But that doesn't make him a savant at being able to interpret the data, and that's where he's going wrong. And I think he started out just like Greenstreet and Greer. Early on, they started out with good intentions, but I think it was a co-committant narrative as long as it suited their personal agenda. And when the truth and their agendas diverged, they went with their agenda. And that's not what any respectful researcher or journalist should be doing. They go with the facts, even if they're inconvenient. And he's not doing that. He's portraying a false narrative. And I dare say when all this, the truth comes out finally, you know, he's going to shut his black vault down and turn it into, I don't know what, sex dungeon or something, and maybe, I don't know, make articles and stuff to try and promote his inventory. Just a suggestion, you know, it's the 123. Where's the harm in that, right? So.
No, God!
Yeah, he's taking the sworn testimony and taking it as the gospel, and then he's discounting people like Harry Reid that went on record. Their sworn testimony was inadmissible, even though there's, you know, I can count easily. You know, Jim Simovan went on the record and acknowledged that Lue, in the capacity, I think it was in 2017, as the director of ATIP, gave him an official top secret briefing, I think in a skip room, if I'm not mistaken, because that's where all it has to take place. But he was on the record stating that Lue briefed him as the director of ATIP in 2017. So is Greenwald also calling him a liar in addition to Harry Reid and the rest of them that corroborated Lue's narrative, and Christopher Mellon for an anonymous IC person here that looked like he was turned down for a job and had an axe to grind because of it? I mean, you can make that leap pretty damn quick.
Lord Ludicrous, hopefully I pronounced that right, Lue and his lawyer approved the article and Lue's statement. I know that to be true, actually.
And in the statement by the IC person, it states that, you know, that he could be open for a job when it became fully operational again. And then right below that in the article, Greenwald states that when it becomes operational again, it's speculation whether it was dormant fully or not, according to the investigator in the report, who was ambiguous because, again, Susan Go controls this entire narrative to do with UFOs, UAPs, and Lue Elizondo. So if an investigation went out on FOIA, she's of course not going to allow it to counter any of the narrative she's already put out there. It has to be consistent. And they didn't want to acknowledge that the program was still running, just at unfunded capacity. So they have to leave it. I forget what the word they used, but it was a little ambiguous. Of that there was evidence that it was still running at some capacity. I think it's kind of the essence of what it said. But tomorrow I'll have a lot more documentation, have my thoughts straight, because
In fact,
I made it behalf of
the most or all of that article. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm going to go through the article tomorrow, barring no more unforeseen catastrophes, and line by line, and bring out the highlights of it and read through the 64-page report that he FOIA release that he got from that, because he's misinterpreted some data there, I dare say, and I'd like to point that out. So, you know, to set the record straight. So, you know, I think, you know, he's been trying to poke the bear for ever since Lue left social media, because, you know, this is his sole business, and business is dried up with Lue not in the picture and Lue not communicating with him. Every time Lue responds, his traffic goes up and his income increases. So he's not going to feed the trolls, and I don't blame him. You know, he's blocked Greenwald today, and who can blame him after this? You know, he hyped this up to everybody this last week like it was going to be a barn-burning expose, and Lue is finally going to be outed as a fraud. It didn't do any of that. I mean, it's a big nothing. It's like lighting the biggest firecracker you ever bought and could afford, and the fuse just fizzles and you get nothing. You know, that's it. But, you know, I'm tired of watching people come out like him and Greenstreet and oh, what the hell is that guy's name? The Seagull? Nick West. Oh, there we go. Yeah, because there's such important players in this narrative, but it's the court of public opinion that it matters, because the evidence that they're bringing isn't evidence. It's their opinions, and they would never pass even in civil court. I've had a little education on that too. The burden of proof isn't here. What the burden of proof is the court of public opinion, and for most people, that's what matters. Unfortunately, in this demographic, most people have lives. They don't have time to do the research, and they learn who they trust early, and then they keep trusting those people even when they fall off the path. And those that have trusted people like Greenwald to start with, and they are still trusting him but not fact checking him, that's lazy. I expect people to fact check me. Don't take my word for anything. Call me, check everything I say. I appreciate that. If I'm wrong, tell me. I'll admit to it. I'm not fallible. I'm infallible. So
just another angle to look at this, Rob, is that yes, we have all this material that we can go through to find out what's going on. But even though we have especially you. I do not. I don't look. I lost my train of thought. Next subject.
Well,
there was an angle I was going to go with this, and it was brilliant. I assure you. Don't come to me.
Here's the point I'm trying to make, and I can say I can distill it down. Actually, believe it or not, and I'm not saying this is malice or this is a orchestrated agenda, but it seems to be inspired at least. Yeah. It's not hard to suspect that when you have a public affairs officer that could not separate her duties as public affairs from being psyops, and then she's got people like Greenstreet and Greenwald on the short list of her Pentagon statements and FOIA favoritism, it's not hard to make the leap that maybe they're all pushing the same narrative. And I'm not saying that they're paid for this. They're not. I don't believe that at all. But I do think that they're being influenced.
Let me interrupt real quick. Let me finish that thought that I lost was, if we didn't even have all this material to look at, we would look at Lue, and Lue would probably tell us, if we didn't have this material, right? Hey guys, guess what? This didn't happen. Guess what? If Lue said it, if Rob said it, if I said it, the other two basically would hey, that's good as gold. If he said, that's what friendship is. If I tell Rob something, I've never lied to Rob. It's a camaraderie thing, anyways.
Yeah, right? Teamwork.
So if my friend came up to me and say, hey, this is what's going on, before another about a story that was a hit piece, and I didn't know anything about it, I would look at that hit piece as if it's crap, right? So
No, Lord Ludicrous, respectfully, because I do respect your opinions immensely. The article wasn't exactly approved by Lue and his lawyer. Lue did make some statements, and his lawyer issued them, but I'm not sure they were even at Lue's behest as his representative. But
I don't think he said, I approve this crap coming out about me.
It's not entirely without factual content, but I think that he has portrayed it in a false narrative, and he has overhyped some aspects of it, and he's downplayed others to make it. He's basically taken a prosecutorial stance. He has elevated the IC person in here and taking everything he says and his statements as the gospel, but he questions everything Lue says. He questions everything that Simivan says, that Hal Puthoff said, that Harry Reid said. Lue and them have corroboration widespread. This guy has zero corroboration from no one. No one's out here vouching for him. All they did, the investigation even came up with nothing. They didn't find any wrongdoing from his assertions. Why? Because there was no corroboration of his testimony. So Greenwald is taking the testimony of one versus the testimony of dozens. And even Susan has been on the record of misrepresenting the fact, where Lue hasn't. And Gary Reid is no longer in his position. So if Lue had lied on his DODIG complaint, which has nothing to do with this, and on there he stated that he was the director of ATIP till 2017, as hot and heavy as Gary Reid wanted to pull his clearance. If he had lied on any part of that statement or that complaint, he would not still have his clearance. So, that can tell you guys who's lying and who's not. This is an agenda. It's not about facts with him. There are some facts infused in it, but only the convenient facts that helps portray his narrative. And that's my opinion. And it's not objective. It's subjective. but I'm basing it on objective facts, just like Greenwald is, and he's entitled to his opinion. So, he's entitled to that, and let the court of public opinion judge. Yeah, you're right, Lord. There's both investigations found no wrongdoing, but the point I was making is that in the article, does it not indicate that Greenwald is taking this guy's opinion on everything as truthful and doesn't call any of it into question? He just said that the guy's complaint, they couldn't find enough information to prosecute Lue and them on, so it was dropped. But he never contended that maybe the guy was trying to get retribution for not getting a job. He didn't call any of that into question in his narrative. Never. He's completely bought into this guy's story, but there's no reciprocation to Lue. There isn't a neutral courtesy here. He's giving too much weight to an individual's sworn testimony and opinions over what's corroborated with over a dozen easily that I can name off the top of my head that are all still holding clearances and all senior intelligence officials. I mean, these are some like Christopher Mellon, that worked as, in the White House and such. So, he's throwing shade on some very senior people, and telling and claiming that their testimonies are void and without merit over one nameless IC person in the article here. And this is just a continuation of what he's done, which is in direct correlation, like I said earlier, when Lue said he was leaving social media, all of a sudden things turned and Greenwald's whole narrative toward him changed. He pivoted and then went heel, because with Lue out of the picture and fading out, his traffic dropped. And you can go look at his YouTube account information, and I'm sure he's got financials online too. You can see that his profits dropped off, and that's something else I'll probably look into tomorrow that it's publicly available. His monies that he's getting per month took a dip when Lue left social media, and then when he started going heel after him and putting out stories like this, then his revenues start coming back up. It's not hard to make the leap that he's doing this for finances and out of spite or whatever else you want to claim, but it's not being a team player. I thought that, I came into this because I wanted answers. I wanted the truth on, what UFOs are, whether we're alone or not. I found that truth in the ancient history community already after almost 10 years there. Uncharted X came out with a video the other day. They had a base that was one of over 30,000 found under the pyramid of Djoser. That was stored under there and found with about 30 to 40,000 other bases and smaller, high precision machined. Wasn't just bases, there were dishes and other things. Corundum, there's even one made out of corundum that's on level 9 on the most hardness has to be a diamond, which is a 10. But they had it 3D scanned in a shop that, like LiDAR, where it shows it's the level of the tolerance of perfection is down to 1/1000th of an inch uniformly across the entire base, inside and out. And he open sourced the file so anybody can go and download the CAD file and look for themselves. They don't have to take his word for it. We finally have evidence out there that there was high-speed mechanized machinery in play in pre-dynastic Egypt. These weren't even dynastic artifacts. They were pre-dynastic, found in the graves that were dated carbon-14 from the people that they were pulled out of their arms of. So, some of them are out of from under the pyramid of Djoser, but they're contemporaries, what I'm trying to say. And there's many of these that are in the museum at Cairo and around the world. And finally, we have irrefutable proof that there was some kind of paleo contact of advanced humans. I don't know what they were. We don't know. All we know is that it was there. There's saw marks of crosscut saws, tube drills, and all that are all over megalithic works all throughout the world from antiquity. So for me, I'm convinced that we had contact back then by some form of advanced humans or non-humans or both I don't know. But what is empirical is that there was a presence here that was capable of building the pyramids and all this, and it's not a far leap to say that they are still here today. That's what drew me into the research on the UFO community a couple of years ago, because I saw the same anti-gravity and high energy um, power needs to power this kind of equipment to do all this that we can't replicate today. We don't come close to it. We understand the physics of how it could happen, but we can't replicate it. We can't even start to. It's not even next generation. It's just completely way beyond what we could even conceive. So I am convinced that what was there in antiquity is still around now, or at least the cousins of, or the descendants of.
Yeah.
As far as non-human intelligences, we've not been alone. As far as humans have been around. There's cave wall paintings that I put out on Twitter last night. I think it was 40,000 years ago. Aboriginals painting this like 3-story tall, red, bulbous-headed looking thing that had all these hunters down at its ankles. So I dare say that they weren't just, tripping on DMT. They painted what they saw. They didn't do impressional art back then. So we've been contacted as long as humans have been able to convey that they've seen something that doesn't belong in their environment, and I dare say they've never left. So for me, I already know that we're not alone. And you can go to Uncharted X's YouTube channel, and it leads you to his website, and you can download the CAD file from there and look for yourselves. You can have people that do this for a living authenticate it. That's what he wants. Check his work and let it speak for itself. It's empirical. It's not subjective whatsoever. It is a 1,000th optically perfect vase uniform that was machine cut. So, you can draw your conclusions from there. I can't fill in those blanks. What I can fill in is that the traditional human history that we've been fed is not complete, and it's not entirely accurate. And I'm not saying they did this out of malice. I don't believe that. They went with what they knew. But there's new information coming to light and refusing to change the history books and the narrative because they've got too much invested in this. There's a lot of reasons why they would do it. But as we've seen with the church, when they said that the earth wasn't the center of the universe, and they burned the observers to the stake that came out with that after Galileo, that the earth wasn't flat. You get the most pressure right before the most fundamental changes occur, just like Randall Carlson was talking about last night, the black muck layer in Alaska, and them trying to say that primitive man hunted all the megafauna to extinction at the Younger Dryas, and that there was no major energy event to do that. But they have this thing called the energy paradox, where they know that the ice cap melted, the Arctic melted over X amount of time, but they couldn't find enough energy that propagated that without infusing either a large CME or an impactor like a comet. And they found the impact craters, the microspherules, and the black mat layer, where the entire American continent was set on fire, literally down to mid-Peru and most of Western Europe. It has a black mat layer where it was burnt to the ground, and then about 1,000-foot floods over the whole damn thing. So, yeah, it was crazy about 12,000 years ago. So, and all I'm trying to say is, as a community, we're trying to find the truth. And when we have outliers like this that are being individuals that aren't looking at the facts and trying to be objective and open-minded, they're being closed-minded. We need skeptics. We need respectful skeptics. We need them all day long, because we don't want to be credulous either. And yeah, I'm a little biased toward the credulous side. Yeah, I'm enthusiastic because I already know what's out there fundamentally, and I want to prove it. And people deserve that. You guys have been at some of you for decades, some of your whole life. Some of you, have been experiencers, and you need answers. I'm trying to help find those answers. I'm not in this to make money. I'm not out here to make fame for myself. I'm out here to get the truth, because we all deserve to know. And that's why I'm doing this. So yeah, I'm being hypercritical of him because he's not a team player. And I don't believe his motives anymore are for the good of the whole. and let the court of public opinion make that determination. But I do not believe that they're acting in good faith anymore with what they're doing. And I think Mr. Siegel is acting out of abject fear, where he can't cope with the reality that there's anything other than organic humans and Darwinism, Mick West. So, I feel bad for him. I really do. But, he can sit in his bubble and pretend that none of this exists till he dies. That's fine. That's his prerogative. He's entitled to do that. But don't use your power of influence to drag other people down with you, because you need company in your belief structure to help shore it up, because the dam is cracking and starting to cave in. So you plug it full of people that you can influence and leading them astray. That's not honest, what you're doing. So, I'm concerned about the community. This distracts resources from people. Hey, UFO man, good to see you. This is distracting resources from people that should be working together to find answers, and instead it's divide and conquer, because if they can keep us sidetracked on these rabbit trails that are not productive, we get nowhere. And make no mistake, there's a battle between disclosure advocates and anti-disclosure opponents. They don't want this out. There's still a hot war going on behind the scenes. So, the more they can keep this community decentralized, the better their agenda goes. So, that's basically what I've got to say about that. And
I think after we go over everything tomorrow, I think that will be it. Period. Right?
Yeah.
We just move on. We just need to. Yeah. What I see is that some answers, some questions need to be answered.
Yeah, and
we're not picking on John. We're just correcting information.
And it's not even just about this one article, because this one article, like Lord Lucas said, it's a big nothing burger. But Lord Lucas, I agree. Forgive me, my eyes. I am not bullshitting. I am losing my vision. It's kind of picking up steam, so I misread some things here and there. If I can read it at all sometimes. But
you need me to read
a non-judgmental adult. Obviously that's a matter of opinion, but I think if I make a better articulate case tomorrow and show historically how he portrays narratives as compared to this, you might draw a different conclusion. And it's not that it's glaring, and it's not that this article matters. It doesn't in the big scheme of things. What does matter is people's intentions over time. He's drawing a lot of influence, and he could be intentionally leading people astray. And for those of us that are actually wanting to learn the truth with disclosure, this is drawing people away from it. Not just support of those of us on the ground floor. That you've got academics, you've got scientists, you've got politicians that weigh in, and they come and they watch all these programs. They peruse. Yeah, awesome. They go, Travis Walton. Yeah, that'd be an awesome show to see.
Now, I was showing, someone was asking, will Travis Walton be on, let's see, where? There it is. Travis, I'm looking, no. Travis will be on UFO Man.
Yes. Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm not going to miss that. Don't miss it. Set it in your calendars, folks.
Yeah, my whole point is I am not asking anybody to be negative toward any one of these people. I am not. Susan Go, none of them. Be respectful. Be completely respectful. But what I don't like is that I feel that they are not in this for the right motives, that they're being counterproductive in the community, despite the facts. And over time, when they're building up that much influence, that they are going where we have politicians, scientists, and academics that would otherwise come into this and help try and get true answers with their skill sets, that they're otherwise taking a knee because they're saying, well, wait a minute, here's some compelling evidence out here by Mick and Susan put out this article that was never really about UFOs. It was just about adversarial platforms, so they don't engage. That's exactly what we don't need at this point. it's counterproductive. It's anti-disclosure, and that's the point I'm trying to make: is whether intentionally weaving an anti-disclosure agenda or not, they are not being helpful, and we need to fact check everyone, including me. So don't take anyone's word for it just because they've been historically correct. Just like with Lue, don't take his word for it. Dig into this. Look up the historical data. Build a timeline. You can create a flow chart and track this stuff and see where it goes and take notes and see if it's corroborated. And what I'm saying is there's tremendous corroboration of Lue's testimony from the time he stepped out in 2017 with that New York Times article with Leslie Kean till now. They've got legions of people that corroborate with evidence in every academic group. I mean, we've got a Nobel Prize nominee, Gary Nolan, now in this arena. We got Eric Weinstein, which, yeah, he says he's been gaslit and he's a team player, but he's not saying that there's nothing here to the UFO narrative. And it's not that the United States came up with this in the 40s to hide U.S. technologies, Skunk Works. They didn't run a program back at 1400 BC that Jacques Vallée writes about. And then he's written several books about contact since then, from 1400 forward, 1400 BC, I might add. There's one book alone that has 500 accounts that the best of from 1400 forward. So I think it's, I can't remember the name right now. But this is global. It's been going on since humanity could chalk it out on cave walls, and the ability to track astronomical observations. They found, like in France, the Croix Caves, the bull that's up there. That's even the constellation of Taurus, and like they think at Göbekli Tepe, it may be an observation for how to track when these cycles of comets come through, because the Taurids, when they started with that giant comet that came in about 26,000 BC into the inner solar system, it spiraled around for a while around the sun until it finally came in and impacted, at 12,800 and just completely cleaned our clock. So, hey, Phil, great to have you here. Didn't have time to let anybody know we were going to be live tonight because I didn't know 20 minutes before we went on. So, yeah.
Hey, Rob. Yeah.
I had to shave my leg.
No. I need you to get out of bed.
All that
right
crap.
now, Rob. Get out of bed. Yeah, we got a show in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I know you need to shave your legs.
I was just thinking about, what was that old song, that country song, Did I Shave My Legs for This? I'm dating myself. I'm old. What can I say? We need cohesion, and that's one of the things that Shannon can attest to about military people who've been in the military or law enforcement or border patrol, any or team sports. That's what team sports are for. Partly is learning how to work together as a team, as a cohesive unit, so you're not individuals. Because the groups don't survive unless they are groups. If they're individuals, historically has shown all throughout history, you can't be an individual because eventually you're going to get overthrown. You have to be a collective, and you have to have all your bases covered. We don't need blind spots. Humanity's been wiped out many times. By what? Who's to say? There's many different ways that it's come about. But if we're approaching another junction where humanity and our planet may be at risk in our lifetime, wouldn't people want to know about that?
Yeah.
And I dare say that if it's such an event, and we do have historical data, Randall Carlson has talked about this, that it's cyclic at the 26,000 year intervals. We're at the 13,000 year interval from the last time we were hit. So I dare say we're fast approaching another potential event, and with all this counter disclosure, I think we're going to get blindsided if we don't get on the ball here.
These are very critical times. I think
that
things are coming to a head, and I've always said it. 2023 be a good year.
I'm a sheepdog. I protect people, and when I see people in danger, I jump in. I can't back out. I stay in it until I either achieve the objective or I don't make it. Either way, I don't stop. And what I'm seeing is, from all the indications, from not just Lue painting a threat narrative, from many people out there in many different demographics, that we've got, people that don't even know each other, like Walter Crittenton of the Binary Star Research Group that is showing solid evidence that we are a binary star system. Randall Carlson with his catastrophism. We're being pushed that we're in danger from many different demographics now, and we need to pay attention. But we're being decentralized because we can't get cohesion as a unit here, and it puts everybody at risk. You want your children, your grandchildren to have the best life that they can possibly have. We need to make sure we have all of our bases covered, and that's all I'm saying is we need to make sure if there's no threat here, let's be sure of that. Let's not take a few individuals' words for it and call it a day, because we're going to get blindsided like a bicycle in front of a Mack truck. It's not going to be pretty. So yeah, I'm a little polarized and a little passionate about this, but I see people in danger potentially. And it's not just one person crying that the sky is falling. I'm seeing this from many different demographics that don't know each other. And I unfortunately remember a lot of useless trivia, and I'm collating all this together in my mind and seeing the big picture, and it ain't pretty, folks. We're in for some shit. And that's why I'm out here doing this.
Lock your doors.
Not for fame. I'm in this because there's some crap going down that could go down.
Lock your doors.
Yeah, exactly. Things were not like he thought they were when he came out of that briefing. Holy cow, he was shell-shocked because his whole worldview had been crushed, and it wasn't because of some kids' weather balloons that had flew astray.
Yeah, Rob, I need to interrupt you. Do you know why I need to interrupt you? This is the reason why. Oh, I gotta put the volume up. Here we go.
That's posterity. Great to see you here.
Here we go. Here we go. It's not playing. Why is my music not playing?
I do not know.
Let me hit these other buttons. Oh, that works. Let's do this again. Winter bell. Actually, I like this one better. Hey, thank you very much for the donations today. I need to turn that off. There we go. We got a super chat from Laura Ludacris. Thanks for answering my questions and addressing comments in the chat. Enjoy the show. Glad you are in good health, Shannon. Thank you very much. It's just, Lord.
There's some things in there I don't want to address.
Yeah.
Nope.
I'm always sending prayers. Thank you. They're definitely felt. Seriously. Also, thank you, UFO Man, for the $2. Because that's probably how much it costs for me to send you that patch. By the way, folks, talking about that patch, all these donations, man, finally I get to shut Rob up for a moment, because once he starts talking,
3 hours later.
Yeah, so, the man just won. All right.
It was your fault for pulling me into that Spaces the other night. Not my fault.
Man. Yeah, I need to probably address that too.
Logan?
Hold on. Give me a second. I gotta turn some stuff off. Yep, there we go. I've got some more comments coming in. I need to talk about the charity before I'm distracted. No. Okay, so 100%. Before I even start about this charity, 100% of the money, the proceeds, go toward charity. What charity is that? It is called the Shannon Scott's Annual Vets and Vets for Wounded Vets and Pets. By the way, UFO Man, yeah, he did good work there, didn't he? I liked it so much. We made patches, and I sent him one. So, honey, was you able to send that little package I gave you? It's in your purse still?
No, I put it in an envelope.
Oh, it's gone. Tim, it's sent, dude. No.
That's because our mailman didn't pick up the mail on Tuesday.
All right, so here's the charity. 100% of the proceeds go to this. Lue Elizondo and Rob Heatherly have 2/3 of the charity, 1/3 of it, but the proceeds are different for each one, of course. Mine is Wounded Warrior. Rob Heatherly's is what, Rob? What's yours?
The Pimps for Vets. It's one that Lou inspired us to help out, and St. Francis no-kill animal shelters that are nationwide.
Yep. And Lou, here he is, bam. Lou says that $20 goes a long way there at the shelter. So I believe we spoke about it, but I need to talk again about it. I think you may be visiting them, and hopefully we could put a video together and promote that that organization. So I'm going to put you to task, Lou, so we can get that done. And then I'll just have you, you give me some media stuff. We'll make a video for all 3 charities, I think. I'm talking on the fly, folks. Holy crap, folks. Where's my, I gotta get the audio going. No, gotta get the audio. Y'all know what it sounds like. Thank you, Swanson. Swan T, right?
The DoD budget. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Freeze it.
Freeze the DoD budget till we get.
They can put out a YouTube plane photograph of the Chinese balloon, but they can't.
Talking about that day. That was a crazy day, wasn't it? I mean, my wife was. I'm sitting in this chair. I don't listen to this. I have my wife over here saying, "Hey, they gotta know. I shouldn't know that." Something like that. So yeah, it was exciting. Hey, thank you. Thanks, dude. Appreciate your money. I thank you for your money. It's going to go to a good cause. All right. Let me get this pop
Red
down.
Panda. Crap. He did an interview recently with Lou with his friend. God, I can't remember his name at the moment. I'm smoked. Jesse Michaels. I wanted to get Jesse aware of Uncharted X's vase to get the CAD file to let him know, to let Michael Levin know that there's concrete evidence of high-speed of machine technologies employed in antiquity that's irrefutable, and they can analyze the data themselves. And I am going to get it to him myself, but I wanted to make sure that it can get there by at least a couple of different channels in case it gets lost in translation from me. But the comment of lock your doors tonight, that's the same look I saw when the doctors told my dad that he was terminal with cancer. His whole world was completely shattered, and rightly so. That's the
it's
look.
Like the words coming out of the mouth wasn't even making sense. It's like, he's kidding, right? He's kidding.
His whole reality was
kidding, right?
shattered in that briefing, and you don't have that look. You don't get that look for
that video and then show everybody, because the first time I watched it, of course, I'm glancing. It was on YouTube or somewhere, right? Maybe it was on Twitter. It was on Twitter. And, he had that look.
You don't brief all of Congress
twice in order to. Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, you don't brief all of Congress and the White House in their entirety because of some kid's science project that went adrift. That's unprecedented. And to say that they can release. When's the last time you've ever seen a photograph released out of a U-2 spy plane anywhere ever? And then they release it of a Chinese balloon, but yet they say they can't release the footage from an F-22 of a kid's science project. There was a general that we went on the record that morning. That it was the pilot from the Brigadier General's accounting on the news that faded out pretty quick. That when the pilot got the pictures of it, sent it in, sent back, was ordered to shoot it down. That it was cylindrical object, that he didn't know how it was aloft, that maybe it was filled with some helium gas or something that kept it aloft because it had no flight characteristics and aerodynamics and was basically a brick. And then when they stated that organizations were going in to pick it up, like the Air Force, the FBI, Canadians were all converging on it, that they had the debris field spotted and scouted out, and that the FBI stated they'd even picked up some debris already. Those are the early stories. And then they said, well, they can't find it. There's nothing there. And I went and looked up those Pika balloons. They are like a translucent beach ball with 2 ounces of electronics on them. You don't get a debris field from that, and you don't fool a brigadier general, a fighter pilot, and everybody else with a translucent balloon with an AM radio strapped to it. Okay, we're not stupid here. Come on. So I think that they
big night.
And
we got we just got another big donation, folks. $10. Wow, thank you, Red Panda. Koala? Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, Red Panda Koala. Yeah, he's a really cool dude. I've had some really decent
shoot him a direct message, Rob, and you'll get it.
Yeah. I don't know what the
He's
truth
really
is
nice.
either. PSYOP, who knows what regardless of what narrative is being weaved around UAPs and the fact that we're not alone with NHI out there, non-human intelligences that we are observing, the peripherals on that, I can't attest to because I don't know. But what I do know is that we are not alone. Non-human intelligences have existed throughout our history because the evidence empirically is there to prove that now, unequivocally, finally, because somebody broke ranks and had something like that, and the company was willing to go on the record and risk their reputations because you wouldn't believe the resistance and the pressure for them not to do this, of not put their company out there and scan these, use their equipment to scan these objects like that and get irrefutable evidence because they get their funding pulled, they get their investors yanked, they get their licenses yanked. I mean, everything cascades if they break ranks on this. So kudos to the company that did this. And I'm sure that we're going to see a complete reversal, that once they find out that having the most ancient of sites and the most advanced provable works that are in their demographics, like at Puma Punku in Peru, Egypt, India, China's sitting on hundreds of pyramids. There's the Cholula pyramid in Mexico that's the largest pyramid on the planet, and it's got a little church parked on top of it that they won't dig it out. And they say that in 1400s that the Inca, which they say 95% were wiped out by disease before the Spaniards got there, they had a bucket brigade and they buried the largest pyramid on the planet with mud, so the Spaniards didn't notice it there. I mean, what the flipping frick is that about?
Whoa, that makes a lot of sense, Rob.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look into that because that sounds like an interesting story.
Yeah. Pyramid of Cholula. It's the biggest one on the planet. It's bigger than the Great Pyramid, basically. And they buried it in mud because they didn't want the Spaniards to find it. But they didn't bury all the other pyramids in Mexico, like the Temple of the Sun.
Brigade, love it.
They didn't get around to burying those. But there's another pyramid down there in Mexico that it's got two E's in it. I can't remember the name of it at the moment. It's a round one. They've excavated it and they found that there are lava flows in the lowest levels of the pyramid. The lava flows date back to 10 or 12,000 BC. So the construction underneath it, and I think there are several layers of construction and several layers of volcanic flow over it. It could go back, I think, like 26,000 years old, and that they've got megalithic construction with lava flows over that. And if you really want a mind blower, there's Alexander Kolpin, that's Eastern European scientist that studied cart ruts all of his life. They've got cart ruts in, I think, Turkey or someplace that are dislocated by a massive earthquake that they dated to 3 million years ago. I dare say that they weren't dragging ox carts back then. Yeah, and that's a whole nother story. You cannot drag enough poles with anything to leave perfectly symmetrical tracks that look like non-human, looked like aliens went mudding, like they're a bunch of rednecks drunk with a six-pack out there and just ripping up the rock like it was mud.
It's their version of Florida Man.
Yeah, I mean, there's some in Turkey that look like literal train switching yards, and it's just completely, the whole landscape is ripped up. Like if you went to a farm field with your four-wheel drive with a giant 30 mutters on it and just tore it to hell, that's what they did to the rock, to bedrock. Figure that one out, because I can't. Apparently, they have the ability to soften or re-solidify stone without damaging its chemical composition or shattering its quartz composition structures. And so it looks like they're whatever reason they were doing it for, they were applying the same technologies to make the cart ruts. So you could make that argument with those based on the earthquake data, that the cart ruts were at least 3 million years old. You can make the argument, and this is all empirical, people. You can research this yourselves easily, especially with this AI that's out there now, that the place in Mexico had the lava flows over it. So there's objective dating to that. You don't have to take anybody's word for that now. And this is something we all can be doing. So we can pick the most provable targets that we know of and drill down on it. Even if we just get one example, that's all we need.
All right, let's do it again. We need to start doing charities, dude. We need to start making some money for once.
Yeah.
Thanks, dude. That's one piece, $49.95, man. There's some evidence that the pickle balloon, pickle balloons stunt was it was a stunt. XTV members ran the show, and the site started up February 13th. Someone look into that.
I was gonna say I saw a short video that was of an Air Force pilot that targeted a balloon and blew it up with a missile. One of those $400,000 jobs on TikTok, where he says, "Okay, balloon destroyed." It seems to me that at least with part of these, that they wanted to muddy the water. So it's like with everything goes through Susan. Back in was it a year ago now? They sat on releasing any UFO data, and then when they finally had to open the floodgates, released 1,500 pages to the Sun. So if they're gonna have this escaped into the news because Biden and them weren't briefed that you have to keep your mouth shut by Susan Go, evidently, on UFOs, that they're real, and we don't talk about those. So he talked about those because he didn't know. He didn't get her briefing in time. So then they had to create a backstory, and they sent some jets out. Well, we've got all these really nice sensor toys, which Christopher Mellon wrote a beautiful article a year ago, almost to the day now, about all the legacy systems back to the 60s, where they can find these balloons up in the skies. They just didn't have them calibrated for that at the time, or even switched on. So there's like, okay, find me some beach balls up in the sky, and let's go shoot them down. And then let's say all of those were benign, and that's our cover story, and we're going to stick to it. That's what it looks like happened. Because why can't they release the pictures of what they shot down? If they can release the China balloon from a U-2 spy plane, I mean, what the hell? You want to talk about sources and methods? Holy crap, that's a freaking holy grail of disclosure there with our systems of how we saw what the balloon consisted of. They can't release what's in an F-22 of a kid's balloon. I mean, come on, we're not stupid here.
Did you also see how awesome that photo was? It had the U-2 spy plane shadow in a balloon. Awesome. That was hey, as a photographer, that's the stuff here. That's the stuff the drones are made of right there.
Yeah.
Great photo. I was wondering maybe that was a video and they took a still frame, because that shadow was there for about that long before it was no longer on the balloon. So
yeah, the same thing with crop circles, like Cliff's pointing out. They've got guys that went out and paid to say that, yeah, we created all the crop circles overnight. We proved it. So there's nothing to see here, folks. But they can, there's this one, if people look for details and actually don't take someone's word for it and do a little bit of research, they will find out that there were scientific analysis where the DNA was altered in the plants in some of these crop circles. The RNA was ruptured. It was like they were microwaved, and they were like heat bent, not mechanically bent. They were chemically bent. That's what I'm trying to say. So there's a lot of bizarre crap going on out there. I am sure that there are some sketchy narratives like Red Koala Panda could probably tell me about of seeing things are not as genuine as they could be with why secrets are being kept. I don't know why, but I'm sure they're doing it in good faith at the end of the day. I trust that. That's what I feel in my gut, so I'm staying with it. I don't have to agree with why they do what they do, and I'm sure at the end of it, when we can be told that we will find out the truth and it was for a good cause. So that's all I'm going with. And,
hey, Rob, let's go ahead and take our break from here until tomorrow.
Yeah.
Contact me. We'll start getting the show ready because tomorrow's going to be out. Yeah. Also, today, my wife had to go to school, my son's school, and she let the baby stay with me. But I wanted to keep her in her pen just to crate train her and watch her escape because it's exactly what she did. So I got the video. What's that? Oh, they don't want to hear that whole story.
Yeah, frangible round, like a shotgun pattern. One warhead explodes and it shoots out 1,000 darts. That's how you shoot a balloon. Breath. Real cool way to do it.
One more time because I know that was quick, so I'm gonna play it again. That was funny. She's a little escape artist.
Proud of her.
Whoopsies. Hey, guess what? She ain't going in that pen anymore. Shelly put that pen away. So
yeah.
Oh, she's so awesome.
You know, look at everything that's going around. This isn't just the United States doing it. We don't have our enemies in compliance to buy into this threat narrative, or that the Russians, the Iranians, and the Chinese have been helping the U.S. hide our secret technologies since the 40s. Bullshit. This is, I can show, hell, go look up Jacques Vallée, 1400 BC. He's got plenty of evidence out there. I think Dimensions or Revelations, I don't know. He's written many wonderful books, and the evidence is just overwhelming. Once you start looking, you can't stop looking. We're being lied to fundamentally, and we're under occupation. It's everywhere, and it's increasingly everywhere, and we need to know why. And I'm not going to believe anybody at face value. I inspect what I expect, so I am not credulous. If I didn't believe in what Lue was saying and I hadn't checked it for myself at the best of my ability, I wouldn't still be supporting him, but I do. There may be some things that he can't tell people because it is classified, and I'm sure he's got a good reason for that, and I have to trust him at that because I followed leaders before. I've been in a lot of team efforts, and I know when someone's being genuine, and I know when they're out for the good of the whole, and until I see otherwise, I'm going to back him all the way. So that's just that.
Yeah, and make sure y'all subscribe if you haven't, and make sure you hit that notification. Make sure you hit that like too. Something to do with
yeah.
I don't know. Computer.
The Red Panda. I think the Chinese balloon. Obviously, we didn't plan that. They may have been watching it, and we're not going to shoot it down until the people on the ground started complaining to civilians. So then they had to take notice, and the White House was like, they probably had somebody that knew somebody there. Hey, we're getting reports here, and they didn't know that UFOs are real in the White House, and they're like, hey, go take care of that damn thing. We don't need this flying over the U.S. It's bad press. Get it out of the skies. And that opened up Pandora's box. I think at least one other one may have not been human tech. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it was human tech made to look like non-human tech. But either way, we're not being told the truth of it. And I don't know where it goes from here, but we need to keep pushing for answers on that. So we'll say goodnight there, and I'm going to crawl off the bed.
All right, let me get things settled here. Oh, by the way, everybody saw this tweet. I just happened to take it and just took the picture, and I took the drink that was in Lue's hand, and I put Dos Equis. Is that the right way to say it? Dos Equis.
Where you're from? Dos Equis.
Stay thirsty, my friends. I made that meme of Lue, and there's your. I took the drink out and put a Dos Equis in there, because not because I know the guy. I think he's a very interesting individual.
And one more thing, Red Panda, I completely agree. We do need skeptics in this. They have their place. Very much.
What?
Red Panda Koala with his $10 donation was saying that we have to be nice to skeptics if we want them to be on our team. I agree, but when they're not being nice and they're being Mick West can get vicious and malicious. I'm not being nice because they're not being nice. That's my opinion. I'm not calling their integrity or them as a person into question because I think they're all decent people. I really do. I don't like what they're doing. Their actions are what I'm calling into question. I'm not calling their integrity into question at all. I admire some of these people, and I'm not attacking their character. I'm attacking their actions. So I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, any last words there, Rob?
Nope.
Well, I guess I'll be seeing you tomorrow. And everybody, please stay tuned for tomorrow around 9 p.m. Eastern time. Put it in your calendar just in case you don't get the notification. Tomorrow, 9 p.m., same place, same channel. Just making sure someone else is writing something, and they are. Yes, you're very welcome. All right, let me get back over here. Last words, Rob?
Stick a fork with me, man. I'm out of here.
Peace.
I'll take care, all right? Nothing but love for you. Nothing but love for you. You think they have any clue what's about to happen to them?
Oh, not a chance in hell. Good night.
Peace!